Welcome, welcome everyone. We are back again today for another daily teaching. Day 27. The stories that we remember. So day 27. One of the days I had planned to share with you a number of books that for me are a must read, that really help bring so much clarity to our own journey. The books are also simple, and there's something about the words that you listen to. I say listen because it's unaudible. The reason why I say audible is because someone is speaking to you. In some cases, it's the author, directly from the messenger. And you feel the words. There's a deeper inner connection. Yeah, but I always read. I lose concentration if I'm listening. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. Listening to truth in this truth space, that message will stay with you. It will unlock your past. It will give you clarity and understanding. And it helps pave the way to future choices. It's that confirmation. And as I've shared on one of the days, truth is timeless. And when you hear truth, you feel it. When you see truth, it's crystal clear. Christ, all clear. So I was going to share you all the books, because there's so many now that I go through. It's like the last 8 years, coming up to 3 months of just books. And the way that I take in information now is so unique. Unique because it's my own experience. If I was taught this is the way that you could learn, and as we now know, remember. I just think about all the choices with extra awareness from the eyes of other people. Complete strangers. Yet when your eyes are closed, all you have is words, sound, feelings. So regardless of who they are from, regardless of the labels, there are some words spoken from the heart. There only can be a truth. They're very good at playing the labels and the roles, and others may be misguided, uninformed. And when it comes to truth, people ignore what is said because of the attachments. They hold on. So all of a sudden, the books on this journey, they all connect. It's like the same message, just spoken in a slightly different way. Spoken through a different viewpoint. Spoken from a different time. The Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, the scriptures from all cultures, all religions, all places around the world at all times. Yet within all the text, translated, you see the truth. Love. You feel the words. Love. And in that love space, the word starts with God. And the word was with God. So whenever we hear words, read words, speak words, there was an initial thought first, inner thought. There was a feeling attached to that thought. Sometimes we have a gut reaction, a knee jerk. It still was there, So God was there first. So I'm going to just share the main ones for me, which is a must. You'll enjoy them. I always go back to them. In fact, I have them on playing most days, at least one. I have a number of books on the go. Conversations with God, Neale Donald Walsch. That's the ultimate. And it's like that book has been spoken all through me. I can come back to either of those 3 books. On Audible, they come as one big book. And the truth is so simple. Conversations with God. That'd have been the last thing I would have chosen. I'd have happy with Goosebumps, Harry Potter. But Conversations with God, and as soon as you hear it, wow. So think about books, truth. Think about books, meditation. Think about books, remembering. All of this is adding to the experience. It's growth, it's flow, it's love, it's truth. And this one is so relatable. Simple truths. And it is like you are having a conversation with God. The male and the female voice. It's angelic. Second book is Awareness, Anthony de Mello, a Jesuit. Absolutely magnificent. And I rarely have ever described anything with those 2 words before. However, it is. And it's awareness that is the key to life, key to change. And when you hear him speak, there's someone where I wish I could deliver like he does. So I'm working on still improving my craft, inspired by his. And his words, his wisdom, the way that he explains love. Simple truths. Then you have New Earth, Eckhart Tolle. And really looking at all these books, because it's going to lead me on to one person, it brought me back to around 2019. I've stopped drinking now. I'm now training. I'm in the best shape I've ever been. And I'm now training for a 12-hour race, which is in Ireland, the Ring of Kerry. You have to complete the race in 12 hours. Cycle, mountain hike, cycle, canoe, cycle, half marathon, all across Ireland. And I realised that was in September, and I had a training plan started April the 1st, April Fools. If that's the feeling of full, I go back to that day as commitment every day. Running, cycling, every day. And I was listening to an artist called Krishna Das. Just listening to him all the time on repeat. Spiritual music. I'm meditating at this point. And because you're on your own by yourself, you're alone. On the bike, you're going through some beautiful parts of the UK. Surrey, fresh air, greenery. Going downhill, there's something so powerful about that. It's free. And I was cycling all over the place. Brand new bike, listening to Krishna Das and this music. And I was always in flow. 2-hour run on a Sunday, half marathon. I was in flow. So I'm listening to all words. And New Earth, Eckhart Tolle, I was listening to that non-stop on training. And I learnt about the ego, and I remembered certain parts. I remember exactly where I was running. I remember so clear. So New Earth, a big one. Because Krishna Das led me then to someone called Ram Das. So going through all these teachings, in my meditation today, it was the stories I remember. All the people I listened to, it was Ram Das, his stories. And he's someone that I rarely talk about compared to these books, Anthony de Mello, Neale Donald Walsch. It was Ram Das where I really connected to all of his teachings. So Becoming Nobody is a great book. And we're going to come on to Ram Das with just a few more. Vibrational Medicine, Richard Gurber. It's a bit more sciencey, but it just helps make a lot more sense. Very clear. Secret of the Ages, Rob Collier, written in 1927. Look how simple life is. They knew consciousness. We always have. Truth is timeless. I listened to that book and thought, oh, this is brilliant. Searched the author. The book was written in 1927 and I was shocked. Wasn't expecting that at all. So I remember all these different books. And then recently, my journey to Christ consciousness, it's taken me to the Bhagavad Gita, the Dhammapada, the Upanishads, Buddha, Sri Krishna, Babaji, Maharaji. All these names, all in the last year, and all these books are just helping connect the truth so much. Bring me back then to the scripture. So the other books for now I'd recommend, because if you got any of these on the go each day, and you're present 10 minutes, you showed up today. So the author is called Eknath Easwaran. And he's done the Upanishads, which is early Vedic, the Buddha, the Dhammapada, which is about Dharma. He's done one called the Beatitudes. So actually looking at Christ's teaching, we went through the Beatitudes recently. And he does it from such a high perspective, from all religions, all faiths, all viewpoints. And he puts it into such simple terms. And the big one is the Bhagavad Gita for daily living. The book is almost 40 hours long. And I now know I can drift off to those words. I can now know that I can listen to any chapter of this book and also relate it back to the Bible. Relate it back to the teachings from Buddha. I can even go into the Tao. All the teachings are the same, written in their own way, written at different times, all around the world. All truth. So they're my book recommendations. And if you're not having any sort of education from books, have one on the go at least. Moon Cycle, have one on the go. Because it is the awareness that helps us grow. And we're just one part of the collective. So we need the eyes from the collective, the one eye, to help us on our journey. And when someone shares an experience from truth, regardless of where they are, what they've done, certain things they said will relate exactly to your experience. Two different places, two completely different stories. There's the same outcome, love. Lost in the moment, found with God. So I mentioned stories. 2019, as I said, I'm training for this big race in September. And in the middle of my training, I went to Hawaii in June to see Deepak Chopra yoga retreat, meditation retreat. And I'm still early on my meditation journey, my spiritual journey. I'm meditating regularly now. I'm doing a 21-day free meditation with Oprah and Deepak. So I went out there, most I've ever spent on any sort of trip. It was needed. Whilst I was there, I did a half marathon. Again, listening to Krishna Das, listening to Ram Das. And I had so many signs looking back. It was magical. Double rainbows, the change of weather wherever you went. The description was 2 people on the top of the mountain smoking bongs. Yeah, clouds, rain, clear skies. It was magic. And one of the days after this amazing retreat, went skydiving. First time in my life. And I'm going to just share the video. And I'm looking back now because it's Ram Das, Krishna Das, and this trip, I let go. I surrendered to God. And whilst I was on this trip, if you look at this photo, this was taken on the highest mountain in the world. From the bottom of the ocean, sea level, all the way to the top, Mauna Kea. And this is the favourite photo that I've had taken of myself. And if you notice, I'm lit up red, because you had to hold the position until the lens got you. And in that pure darkness, someone put on the brake on their car. It lit me up red just as it took the photo. I was close to those stars. And then I jumped out of a plane, completely let go. And I feel that letting go, in terms of energy, clears the way. Solar coaster, roller coaster. It's an experience for the soul. Humans wouldn't be able to do that on their self. It needs to be assisted. Face the fear head on. So this trip, magical. And I remember so many bits, driving around in my little Jeep, listening to Krishna Das, training in the heat. It's like a desert straight road. I'm always in flow. I'm always present. You have to be on your own. And there was a book that I purchased while I was reading out there from Ram Dass, and you only could get this one in readable form. And I remember reading it on the plane, and it was little stories, short stories. It was called Changing Lenses. And there was a few stories that stuck up for me, and I've searched them today. And I found them with him speaking on YouTube. So one of the things that I would like to mention on this course, which we will, a few days left, is plant medicine. Cannabis, DMT, ayahuasca, 5-MeO, LSD. And the experiences I've had with plant medicine, you see things that you've never seen before. No one's been able to explain anything close to the things that you see. There's no body, there's no self. You are everything, you all at one. Again, words do not do it even close to justice. Looking back, I realized that was God to another dimension, times 1,000 times 1,000, beyond words. the way that I've always described it, the most amazing yet unexplainable experience. But what it does stretch all the boundaries. How can you fear anything in this world when the things that are seen in here is undescribable? You have to just face it, you have to be with it. And I remember that it's the stories that Ram Dass used to say in his talks, like me, would just talk. And you remember the stories, not even so much the teachings or what part, it's the stories. So one of the stories, and really interesting as well, coming on this journey, he has a guru in India. Krishna Das and Ram Dass also met the same guru. Krishna Das used to be a rock star in Canada. White guy, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful of creation. So it all links to Maharaji, Babaji. And I remember this story so clear because of the plant medicine. And I got my confirmation that it takes you to a completely new dimension. It stretches your imagination. It allows you to let go. But in that is a search, a quest. What is this? And what is the reality I'm living now? And I remember when Ram Dass had loads of LSD on him, and Maharaji said, give me your yogi biscuits. And I'll let him now play the story. And why I know it's a truth, and there's very few people that I can still say now that I just connect with what they speak, is when they share their story. Anthony de Mello, the same thing. And they share it in a way that others can understand. And if you listen to the story, there's humour. He speaks it from his experience, his way, his eyes. It's done from love. And it's the stories like this, with the gurus we've been told about, that really do make people believe, that really do give people hope, that do help people connect with God. Because when you hear these stories, the way it's delivered, it's authentic, you know it's the truth. You're unable to speak like this, making it all up. And if you was making it all up, that's God making it up through you with love. Flow. It all flows together. So I'm going to play a few of these teachings because it's the stories. But this one, I just loved the way that the faith, the knowing, who Babaji really is. It's when you are in control of your mind, you can do anything.
Question is, can drugs be used as a vehicle to enlightenment? I don't think there is much doubt about it for you and me, for many of us, that at least psychedelic chemicals, not all drugs, but psychedelic chemicals, have a capacity to cut through places where you are attached and clinging, to set them aside and show you a possibility. The problem is that they don't allow you to become the possibility, they only show you the possibility. And then after a few hours, you lose the view of the possibility and you have it only as a memory. I made a very genuine effort in 5 years of drug taking to use that as my full upaya or way, and it didn't work because I just kept going up and coming down. And Maharaji, my guru, when he took LSD, he asked me for that medicine, that yogi medicine I used, and he swallowed a huge amount that would have freaked anybody in this room. And nothing happened to him at all. And then he said, well, these are known about these chemicals. And it will allow you to come in and have a visit with Christ, but you can only stay 2 hours and you're going to leave. He said it would be better to become Christ than to visit Christ. But this medicine won't do that for you because it's not the true samadhi. He said love is a much stronger medicine than this. Because love is that flow with the mother. That's the thing that brings you to the Father. But he said, it's good to visit a saint. It's nice to have visited Christ. And I would be a hypocrite if I knocked drugs. At the same moment, let me point out that it is not a full diet. And once you know the possibility, you might as well get on with it. Getting on with it means cleaning out the places that you have the attachments, not overriding them. And what chemicals do is they override them. They leave them there, they just push them aside for a moment. And finally, you get so greedy to be done that you just start to want to deal with your shit rather than pushing it under the rug all the time. No matter how bad it smells, you just want to get on with it and deal with stuff. And at that point, you start to not try to get high, but work with your lows. And then drugs lose their savor or their pull. Now, there is another subtle effect of drugs that I noticed in some of the work I was doing this year, that my astral and physical teachers pointed out that there were definite psychic effects of the repeated ingestions of drugs I had used in my medulla, in this part of the brain, that made my work slower and harder for me at the advanced level. It didn't ruin my chances, it wasn't in any way damaged in that sense, but it just built up a kind of a toxicity in my medulla, a psychic, not physical, psychic toxicity, that made that work more difficult. So that my inclination is to say that for some people they could be useful, but I don't believe that for anybody that's able to sit in this room and know what I'm talking about, they are any longer necessary. I think that's a straight statement. Okay. And the problem is that when you're using something that is illegal, even though it's wrongly illegalized, you're paying with a certain kind of paranoia that keeps cutting you off from other human beings. And that's very subtle, but it costs something. Because it was 5 years after I stopped smuggling before I could go through a border without freaking. And I could imagine that a border guard could actually be a human being, an immigration official.
So I remember these stories, and because it's the journey I was going through that time, searching plant medicine, I had something to relate to, and the way that he said it was just from him. And I remember connecting, and I used to just listen to Ram Dass all the time. Listen to him so much that it wasn't a thing. It was like I just got him on. It wasn't like, right, I'm going to listen to this book, or I'm going to complete this. It was just me having him on all the time. And it's only come to me today where when I was in that flow state, there was no mind anyway, but I remember listening to all of these things. So the next story was from this book, Changing Lenses, and I remember reading it going, wow, like, what would that be like? And he was talking about swimming with a dolphin, and I remember the name of the dolphin was Rosie. And he was swimming with a dolphin, and it was almost like he surrendered, and the dolphin just took him with it on the energy. And it was the love connection that it had. And it stuck with me because I remember all the dolphins that I saw in Hawaii. I did a helicopter trip all around the island. It's amazing the things that I did looking back. And you saw this whole school of dolphins. I bought a GoPro camera, expectations, getting a video of a dolphin. And the battery died within about 2 minutes of me getting it. And just as it died, this spinner dolphin literally come right underneath me and jumped up, span, and back down again. And it would have been one of those moments where I wish I had the camera. Yeah, I wouldn't have seen it and remembered it, how clear, how quick, how it shot up. And it was the ego going, oh, I didn't get it. It's that memory I've always got. So there was so much memories and dolphins and this story. But listen to the way he explains it. And the way it's real, it's just honest, it's just truth. And you can see how we can just get lost listening to people in flow. I'm an instrument of truth. When I get into this flow state, it comes out of me. It's more relatable because it's my experience. I'm putting it into words. I try to speak it from different viewpoints, different perspectives, different people receiving it. And I enjoy it. And this is why I haven't yet to found many people like Ram Dass.
I was invited by John Lilly and his wife Tony to swim with these two dolphins named Joe and Rosie. And they were at this tank in Redwood City, California, which was it was in a big holding tank. They were there at the time. Now they're back in the ocean. And so I went with my friend because, you know, everybody wants to swim with dolphins, or at least that's the thing, the myth, you know. It was a very cold gray day, and there were no wetsuits, so I put on my bathing suit, and I was standing by the tank, about to go in this cold water in a gray day, and I thought, what the hell am I doing here? I mean, I know you're supposed to want to swim with dolphins, but I don't know why I want to swim with dolphins. I mean, I forgot why, you know. I mean, in the heat of, do you want to swim with, oh yeah, I want to swim with dolphins, but now here I was, and oh, well, all right. I mean, because everybody was standing around watching to see what Ram Dass was going to do with the dolphins, so whatever I did, I was going to have to smile. I knew that, see, so I got into the tank, smiling, and I was treading water, and they went by me, just really close in, and they were big. I mean, they were bigger than I thought they were going to be. My mind was desperately trying to figure out, what do you do now? You know, I couldn't remember all the dolphin stories, you know. So then one of the dolphins was right here, Rosie. And she was hovering, I don't know what you say, finning, I don't know. She was just sort of, can't say standing there. She was there, you know, she was just there. And I was thinking, what am I supposed to do now? You know, smiling all the time. And so I figured I'll touch her. That's a good thing to do. So I reached out and I touched her, expecting she'd swim away, because in my mind she was a big fish, and fish swim away when you touch them, you know. And she didn't move. And I ran my hand down her back, and the skin was so soft and so sweet to the touch, it made silk look like burlap. I feel like burlap. It was so incredibly soft. It was like the way when you run your hand through water, except it had just a little more form than that. But it was like caressing water, something very, very soft. And I just got completely sensual, you know, I was just, and I was still thinking, well, this is nice, and I was thinking about it all and smiling and enjoying rubbing, and I suddenly became aware that she was right there. She was receiving my touch, and that her presence was so immediate and real that my mind, which had been busy thinking, stopped at that moment. I could feel it, and the minute my mind stops, the arm ring separates, and then my heart went, and I was like feeling this, and it was like love, feeling of love. And that moment, Rosie flipped with her tail, and she was upright, right here, and her mouth was right here, and I was kissing her on the mouth, saying, oh, Rosie, oh, Rosie, oh, Rosie. And she was insinuating her body, and I started to get aroused, you see, and I smiling all the time, you know, and I thought to myself, is this legal? Just to complete that story, she then disengaged herself, and she came around under my arm. I thought, I think it would be fun to swim with her. And I grabbed her fin, but I didn't want to break it, so I didn't hold on to it. And she went down, and it slipped off, and kept doing that. And finally, I thought I should put my hand around and hold her, but that's kind of coming on a little bit. But I'll do it anyway. And I did it, and she swam, and I figured it's bothering her, so I let go, and she immediately came under my arm again. She was like training me like you train a rat, you know. I mean, she was very patient till I quieted down, and so I grabbed hold, and we started to swim wildly through the tank. It was just like you would imagine it would be. And after a while, I thought, well, Rosie, see, I was just in ecstasy, and then the thought came, Rosie, you're a dolphin, but I gotta breathe, you know, I'm a human. And the minute the thought emerged, she came to the surface immediately. And I took a breath, And then we swam, and every time I felt the need of breath, she'd come to the surface and wait, take a breath, and we did this for about 40 minutes. At one point, I came to the surface, and people were taking photographs, and I started hamming it up for, me and the dolphins, and I forgot to take a breath, and she went under. And a couple of moments later, I thought, well, Rosie, this is it, and she came to the surface just like that after a couple of moments. And at the end of 40 minutes, I was shaking with cold, but I didn't want to stop. It was so wonderful being in such communion with somebody. And then she shook me off and went and got Joe, and they nosed me over to the holding platform and out of the tank because they felt I'd had enough. And I felt like she had shown me that when I let go of when I went into that intuitive heart space, I could be with her,
So can you imagine being in that pool, one with the dolphin? And this is the connection we're going to have with animals soon. When we remove all fear, the animals know too, they can trust us. So when signing up, on one of the days, Ram Dass was meant to be coming over to do a talk and a guided meditation. And on one of the days, Deepak Chopra said, that won't be happening now because Ram Dass is almost on his last legs, like he's dying. And he hasn't got too much longer left. But what we have arranged is a guided meditation. He's going to be on live screen. He was on one of the other islands. So in this photo, you can see I actually did a meditation with Ram Dass, and my ego used to go off to start with. I remember him talking, but he was very fragile at this point. And it was that pure silence where I connected. So a lot of his teachings really resonate with me. My role as a messenger is also to share truth with other people when it is a truth. And again, you feel it all. Because when people hear perspective from different places around the world at different times and generations, it allows us to know who we are, to know thyself. So this is from the book Becoming Nobody, which is for me one of the best audibles because it's him speaking. It takes a lot of his collection, but it is letting go of everything, to be selfless, to literally remove all identity. And he speaks it in there. And what I like about the way that he explained this, and it stayed with me, was the lenses. Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. So by changing the lenses, you're now seeing things on a different frequency. On this course, you can see that your lenses have changed. Your awareness is enhancing. Your questions are a lot more continuous. So it's so powerful.
Empathize with the pain of another person. Then comes the next stage where you start to meet the person behind it all. It's like, are you in there? I'm in here. Far out. What are you doing in there? I mean, if I can just run you through this kind of oversimplified model, if you had a little television receiver channel right here next to your eyes, what you're finding, what we're talking about is planes of consciousness or channels on a television set. And most of us, most of the time in this culture, act as if we have a 1 or 2 channel set. We don't have cable. And today we're talking about cable. We're talking about acknowledging all these other channels that are floating around in the room, but we're not picking them up because we don't know how to tune our receiver. That's basically what this is about. So on the first channel, when you look at another human being, you see old, young, dark, light, fat, thin, etc. You see physical body. And if you're obsessed with your physical body, that's what you see when you look in the world, other people's physical bodies. That's the channel you're on. If you flip one channel, then you're in the psychosocial realm. You see power, and you see happiness and sadness and neurosis, and it's the therapy channel. It's the social role channel. It's where there are mothers and truck drivers and all lawyers and all the different roles and identities, all the social stuff. And that's all a channel, and that's as the world turns, and it's a never-ending source of fascination. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on. Most people are happy with channel 2. In channel 1 and 2, about 98% of the people you've ever known are busy with those 2 channels all the time. But now we're talking about something else. We're talking about shifting. Now you shift one more channel, and there's a little in-between one, which is called, it's like the astral plane. It's where you're dealing with archetypes, the Jungian archetypes. You're dealing with what's called astral or mythic roles and mythic identities. It's that sort of place where you see people in their mythos rather than in their personality structures. And you look at me and you say, he's an Aries. I just knew it. You know, it's a Sagittarius and Leos, and you see there's 12 of us in various permutations. If you flip to the next channel, you go behind all those individual differences and you just see another soul just like you that has all that packaging that's different than you, but is just another being just like you. That's when you say, are you in there? I'm in here. How'd you get in that one? And you see all of the stuff of the personality and the astral and the mythic and the body and all of it as like packaging. And you see the spiritual individual entity. And just for fun, if you turn the channel once more, what it is it's looking at itself, looking at itself. There's only one of it. It's awareness aware of itself. And just to keep the Buddhists happy, you turn it once more and it all disappears, which is basically the one in itself. It's basically the one in itself rather than looking at itself.
Can you see how easy that is to relate to our own lives? Everyone knows about different channels that we tune into. That's all on waves. Cable TV. It's waves, radio frequency. We have to find the right frequency. You wouldn't know about certain channels if you wasn't on that frequency, like a lot of darkness. So, I also have a page where I was writing all my teachings down in 2020 as an Instagram page, because every time I wanted to share what had come up for me and these mind-blowing experiences, no one understood it. And it was like all this energy, all this excitement just got met. It just fizzled out. And I was looking through the page the other day, and all the quotes on my own, apart from one that I posted up with Ramdas. First rule, listen to your inner voice. Second rule, be honest with yourself. The predicament is that you listen to your inner voice and it leads you to a path, and then you outgrow it. And you don't want to admit that you've outgrown it because you've made a big investment in it. But you must be willing to let go, to stand as naked as a newborn child again and again and again. Let go, let God. Powerful, powerful, simple truths. So I'm going to now just play and finish with a talk that he did, a little clip about the plane of pure love. And it'd be great to read what comes up for you and see if you can feel and hear the truth in these teachings.
I do a mantra called Aditya Hridayam Punyam Sav Shatru Binashanam. Aditya Hridayam Punyam Sav Shatru Binashanam. All evil vanishes from life for him who keeps the sun in his heart. And I think of the sun warms. It doesn't say, I'll warm you because you're good. I won't warm the bad guys. It doesn't say, I'll only warm you if you'll pay me. It is light. It is consciousness. It is warmth. Surya Atman Jagtasta Suscha. Surya, the sun, is the Atman, is the God of the physical universe. It is light, it is consciousness, it is energy. Be like the sun. Just go around warming things. So you will say, well, I can't warm him, man. He thinks he's like the fuzz, or he thinks he's object, or he thinks he's a bad guy. That's his head. That's his desire. You create your universe. My teacher writes on his slate, if you wear shoe leather, the whole earth is covered with leather. Right? And he says, if you think on God, the whole world is God. If somebody, quote, brings you down, quote, brings you down, that brings me down, understand that that is your head. You are creating your universe. You've got to come back there all the time. You want to help somebody? Help yourself. That's a scary one. I mean, don't we help people? You don't help people if you think you're helping them. How do you like that one? That's what the non-giving and receiving of gifts is about. Because as long as you think you're giving me something, forget it. Because neither of us can afford it, because all it's doing is creating a subject-object relationship between us. That's why America gives away all this stuff and everybody hates her. She's saying, look what I'm giving you. See? If the mentality of America was, look, God gave us all this wheat, we got more than we need, you need it, it's our mouth, but Biafra is our mouth and this is our wheat, here, have it. You use it now. Then there's no giving and there's no receiving. Then it's all cool. See? It's all cool. Because anything, just like lying and stealing, these are all the same things. They all create subject-object. By passion for the pairs of opposites, by those twain snares of like and dislike, Prince, all creatures live bewildered, save some few, who quit of sins, holy in act, informed, freed from opposites, and fixed in faith, cleave unto me, says Krishna in the Gita. You've got to finish with opposites. You've got to get finished with opposites. We and them is a state of mind. If you don't like living in that state, change your mind. Somebody else says, but there are we and them. That's his mind. You live in your mind. Because I'll tell you another secret. The most ferocious sheriff's deputy in the southern small town, the fiercest North Vietnamese, the toughest guy in the FBI, the hardest meth head, all want to be God. And they all want to be the sun, and they all want to be love, and they all want to be warm.